Welcome to The Deep Dive, the show that cuts through the noise and gets straight to the most impactful insights from the cutting edge of science and technology. Today, we're plunging into a field that isn't just improving our health or making our food systems more sustainable, it's fundamentally reshaping our entire interaction with the very fabric of the planet. We're talking, of course, about biotechnology. The topic of our deep dive today is the next decade of biotech: convergence, innovation, and transformation. Our source material is, well, it's a remarkable body of work that truly unpacks how biology is rapidly becoming a programmable substrate,
Mhm.
much like software. And this isn't just a metaphor, you know. It's blurring the lines between the digital, the biological, and the physical in ways we've only, perhaps, begun to imagine until now.
Exactly. And our mission for you, our listener, is really to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge from this incredibly rich source material. Think of this as your essential shortcut, your way to being truly well-informed about this complex, rapidly evolving landscape. By the end of this deep dive, you'll have a much clearer picture of not just what is happening in biotech right now, but why it profoundly matters to you, to society, and, well, to the powerful forces shaping our collective future.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Before we get to the mind-bending future stuff, what exactly is biotechnology at its core? And how did we even get to this point where we're talking about programming life itself?
Right. Good place to start. At its simplest, biotechnology is the application of biological systems, organisms, or their components could be a single molecule, could be a whole microbial community to create products and technologies, products that benefit humanity and the environment. It's inherently interdisciplinary, you see. It pulls insights from molecular biology, genetics, microbiology, biochemistry, bioinformatics, even systems biology.
So a lot of different fields coming together.
Precisely. And the grand goal, it's really to understand life at a molecular level so intimately that we can engineer precise solutions for massive global challenges. Things like chronic diseases, food scarcity, climate change. It's about leveraging the incredible complexity and, frankly, the efficiency that nature has perfected over billions of years.
It's amazing to think about how far we've come, but like you said, it leverages nature. This isn't some brand new invention, is it? Its roots go way, way back, almost to the dawn of civilization.
Oh, absolutely. While the term biotechnology itself only emerged really in the early 20th century, the practices are ancient. Imagine walking through ancient Mesopotamia around 8000 BCE. People were already selectively breeding and domesticating plants and animals. That's effectively altering their genetics for human benefit, right?
Huh.
Fast forward to 6000 BCE. And, well, ancient Egyptians were master brewers. They were using the unseen power of fermentation microbes to make beer and bread. These were the very first, albeit, unconscious steps in biotechnology.
So it really started with observing nature's processes and applying them, long before we even knew what a cell was, really.
Exactly. Then came the era of foundational scientific discoveries, the ones that started to unravel how life actually worked. We're talking Robert Hooke, peering through his primitive microscope back in 1665, observing those tiny box-like structures in cork he called cells. I mean, what a foundational moment, showing us life was built from these microscopic units.
Right.
Or Gregor Mendel, working quietly in his monastery garden in 1865 with his pea plants,
Hmm.
meticulously documenting how traits are passed down. He basically cracked the genetic code a century before we even properly understood DNA. And then, Alexander Fleming's serendipitous discovery of penicillin in 1928 revolutionized medicine, saved countless lives. And of course, a pivotal, almost cinematic moment was Watson and Crick describing that elegant double helix structure of DNA in 1953. That was like finding the instruction manual for all life.
And from that instruction manual, the modern era really kicked off, setting the stage for the explosive developments we're seeing today.
Yes, the immediate ripple effect was immense. The recombinant DNA technology developed by Stanley Cohen and Herbert Boyer in 1973. That was a true game changer. For the first time, scientists could literally cut and paste DNA from one organism into another. They could create organisms with entirely new, desired traits. This directly led to the first biotech drug approved for human use, genetically engineered insulin back in 1982, a monumental shift for diabetics. And then, of course, the completion of the Human Genome Project in 2003, that provided us with a complete instruction book for human life, an unprecedented map. These milestones, they truly created the bedrock for everything that followed.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, though. What makes this current biotech revolution so different, so much faster and more profound than those earlier leaps? Why is it all happening now?
This is precisely where that idea of convergence becomes absolutely critical. We're witnessing a perfect storm, really, of converging factors, each amplifying the others. First, just consider the exponential growth in biological data. The cost of DNA sequencing, it has plummeted dramatically. I mean, from literally billions of dollars to sequence a single human genome just a few decades ago to now, well, under $100 per genome. This has unleashed an avalanche of biological data, far, far more than humanity has ever had before. It's like going from a single trickle to a raging flood.
So we have this incredible torrent of data, but raw data isn't knowledge, right? You need something powerful to make sense of it all.
Exactly. And that brings us to the second, equally crucial factor, computational power. Advances in artificial intelligence and machine learning are enabling us to analyze these incredibly complex biological systems, to identify patterns and relationships we could never, ever discern manually, and even predict outcomes with remarkable accuracy.
Yeah.
This goes hand in hand with the data explosion. AI gives us the lens, to focus that flood of information into actionable insights.
Okay, data and compute power. What else?
Then there's the democratization of genetic modification. Technologies like CRISPR-Cas9, which really burst onto the scene around 2012, they've made gene editing precise, affordable, and accessible in a way it simply never was before. It's like upgrading from clumsy, blunt instruments to, well, surgical precision. And beyond just reading genomes, understanding the existing code, synthetic biology has fundamentally shifted our paradigm to writing them. We're literally programming lifelike software, designing new biological functions, entire organisms from scratch.
And it feels like external pressures, global crises, have also played an undeniable role in accelerating this, almost as if they've forced our hand.
Oh, they absolutely have. The urgency of recent pandemics, particularly COVID-19, coupled with the escalating realities of climate change and widespread food insecurity, these have thrust biotechnology squarely into the mainstream spotlight. These global challenges haven't just pushed for rapid innovation, they've highlighted biotech's absolutely crucial role in our collective survival and well-being. The core idea here is profoundly transformative. We are no longer limited to merely observing nature or passively discovering its secrets. Biotechnology now empowers us to actively re-engineer nature itself. With increasing precision, speed, and at a scale previously unimaginable, it's an active partnership, maybe even a direct design process with the living world.
And speaking of rapid innovation, the last decade, say 2015 to 2025, has seen some truly mind-blowing breakthroughs. Felt almost like science fiction becoming reality. Let's dig into some of those. First up, CRISPR became almost a household name, didn't it?
CRISPR-Cas9, yes. When it was introduced, it immediately stood out. An incredibly precise and, importantly, affordable genome editing tool. What's truly fascinating here is how quickly the technology itself evolved. Beyond the initial Cas9, we saw rapid development of variants like Cas12, Cas13, each expanding the tool's capabilities, for targeting different genetic sequences or types of nucleic acids. This isn't just a lab curiosity, its applications have been expanding at an astonishing rate.
What are some of the most impactful applications we've seen just in the past few years?
Well, we're seeing CRISPR used for direct treatment of genetic diseases.
Yeah.
Highly promising clinical trials underway for debilitating conditions like sickle cell disease and beta thalassemia, conditions where a single genetic correction could offer a functional cure. It's incredible. It's also being explored for broader ecological interventions, like developing gene drives to control malaria-carrying mosquito populations, could potentially eradicate the disease in some regions. And in agriculture, it's revolutionizing crop improvement, allowing scientists to edit crops for enhanced traits, drought resistance, better nutritional value, pest resistance, all with unprecedented precision.
But with such a powerful tool, one that can literally edit the human genome, there are always profound ethical considerations that quickly come to the forefront, aren't there?
Absolutely. This is where the profound power of CRISPR meets societal responsibility head-on. The 2018 controversy over edited human embryos in China, where germline modifications were performed that could be inherited, immediately sparked a crucial global conversation. This directly led to the rapid establishment of international ethics frameworks and guidelines, specifically for germline editing, modifications to sperm, egg, or early embryos that are inheritable. The scientific community recognized the urgent need for careful governance and public dialogue.
So the science is moving fast, but the ethics are trying to keep pace.
Trying to, yes. And what's also fascinating is that while CRISPR is incredibly powerful, even more refined alternatives like prime editing and base editing are emerging. These offer even more precise, less error-prone modifications, like changing a single letter of the DNA code without even cutting the double helix. We're also seeing advances in epigenome and transcriptome engineering, which allows for gene regulation without cutting the DNA at all, offering even finer control.
Switching gears a bit, another massive breakthrough of the last few years has to be mRNA vaccines. COVID-19 was certainly the catalyst, but I understand the technology was simmering for decades before.
Indeed it was. The COVID-19 pandemic acted as an unprecedented and frankly urgent catalyst. It led to the rapid development of the Pfizer-BioNTech and Moderna mRNA vaccines in truly record time. This wasn't just fast. It demonstrated their incredible safety and efficacy on a global scale. It fundamentally changed our perception of how quickly vaccine development could happen and opened up entirely new possibilities.
And the implications go far beyond just COVID-19, don't they? It feels like we've just scratched the surface with mRNA.
Oh, absolutely. The groundbreaking success with COVID-19 has opened up a floodgate of research and development for a whole array of diseases. We're now seeing mRNA vaccines in development for stubborn infectious diseases like flu, RSV, Zika, even HIV. Even more exciting, perhaps, are the advancements in personalized cancer vaccines, where mRNA technology is used to train a patient's own immune system to recognize and attack the unique mutations on their specific tumor. It offers a truly tailored therapeutic approach.
That sounds incredibly promising for so many different health challenges. What are the core advantages of this technology that enabled such rapid development during the pandemic and make it so versatile for the future?
Well, the primary advantages are really twofold: significantly faster production cycles and an inherent ease of updates. Unlike traditional vaccines that often rely on growing viruses in eggs, which is time-consuming, mRNA vaccines are synthesized chemically and enzymatically. This means they can be produced much more quickly and scaled up rapidly. Furthermore, their modular nature allows them to be modified with a relative ease to respond to evolving pathogens or new targets. That's absolutely crucial for dynamic threats like rapidly mutating viruses or even the ever-changing landscape of cancer cells.
Moving into another fascinating area, we've heard a lot about organoids and tissue engineering. Sounds a bit like science fiction, doesn't it? Growing miniature organs in a dish.
It truly does feel like it sometimes. This breakthrough involves creating miniature human organs in the lab. Things like brain, liver, kidney, gut organoids, all meticulously grown from stem cells. These tiny self-organizing structures, though not fully functional organs yet, are invaluable for disease modeling. They allow researchers to study how diseases progress and test drugs in a much more human-relevant system than, say, traditional animal models. They're also vital for understanding human development and even complex neurological disorders.
And then there's the actual building of tissues, not just letting them grow spontaneously.
Yes, that's where biofabrication and 3D bioprinting come in. There have been incredible advances here. We're seeing bioprinting used for practical applications like highly realistic skin grafts for burn victims, cartilage repair. Research is pushing the boundaries even further, exploring printing functional heart tissue, or even eventually entire organs for transplantation. That could revolutionize transplant medicine, though it's still quite a ways off, admittedly. But the ability to use patient-derived cells for these engineered tissues, that's a huge step forward for personalized and regenerative medicine. It significantly reduces the risk of immune rejection, a major hurdle in traditional transplants.
Now, connecting biology with bits and bytes, AI has clearly been a massive player in biotech's recent leaps. It feels like AI is the ultimate accelerator here.
Undeniably. A monumental milestone was DeepMind's AlphaFold. It essentially solved the long-standing protein folding problem. This AI can predict the precise 3D structures of proteins with near-experimental accuracy, a challenge that stumped scientists for decades. This is fundamental because a protein's 3D shape dictates its function, whether it's an enzyme, an antibody, or a drug target. What's even more impactful, perhaps, is that DeepMind didn't just solve it, they released a database. Over 200 million predicted protein structures, freely accessible to researchers worldwide. That accelerates discovery across countless labs simultaneously.
Wow, that sounds like it would massively accelerate drug discovery, taking away years of trial and error, potentially.
It absolutely has. AI is now integral to pretty much every stage of drug discovery and development. It can screen vast molecular libraries in silico in a computer to identify promising candidates much faster. It can predict drug target interactions with remarkable efficiency and even de novo design entirely new molecules from scratch that have desired properties. This helps prioritize the most promising candidates, saving immense time, resources, and often, yes, years off the traditional drug development timeline. AI tools are also transforming genomics and systems biology, quickly identifying genetic variants associated with diseases, modeling complex gene expression networks, helping us understand the underlying biological mechanisms much better.
Okay, so AI helps design and predict.
And beyond the theoretical, AI is also driving practical automation in laboratories. We're seeing sophisticated robotic platforms guided by AI for high-throughput experiments, essentially creating what are called closed-loop biology systems. These systems can design, execute, and refine experiments with minimal human intervention, constantly learning and adapting. Imagine a lab that can formulate a hypothesis, run experiments, analyze the results, and then formulate a new, improved hypothesis for the next round, all on its own. It's accelerating the entire scientific method.
So, putting it all together, what does this all mean for the big picture? What are the main areas where biotech is truly making waves, and where are we standing right now, say, mid-2020s, according to our sources?
Right. If we connect this to the bigger picture, modern biotech is incredibly diverse. But you could think of it as structured around several distinct yet increasingly overlapping pillars. Understanding these helps grasp the full breadth of its current impact. First, and perhaps most immediately visible, is medical biotechnology. This is entirely focused on improving human health. It covers biopharmaceuticals, like recombinant insulin millions rely on, or monoclonal antibodies targeting specific disease pathways in cancer or autoimmune conditions. It includes those game-changing gene therapies we mentioned, like Luxturna for blindness or Zolgensma for spinal muscular atrophy. Obviously, the revolutionary mRNA vaccine tech fits here. It also encompasses personalized medicine using pharmacogenomics, understanding how your unique genetics influence your drug response, and things like liquid biopsies, detecting cancer from a blood sample, often super early. Then there's regenerative medicine, with stem cells and 3D bioprinting for tissue repair, and immunotherapies like CAR T-cell therapies for cancer, re-engineering a patient's own immune cells to fight their tumor.
Okay, that's health. And what about feeding the world? That's another monumental challenge that biotechnology seems uniquely positioned to address.
Indeed. That's the domain of agricultural biotechnology, absolutely vital for ensuring global food security and sustainability, especially with a growing population and climate change pressures. Here, the focus has broadened significantly. While traditional GMOs, genetically modified organisms like black cotton for pest resistance, have been around for decades, the field is now seeing a major shift towards gene-edited crops using tools like CRISPR. These are often seen as more precise and, importantly, often involve editing native genes without introducing foreign DNA. That can lead to faster regulatory approval and sometimes greater public acceptance. We also have microbial solutions, things like biofertilizers, nitrogen-fixing bacteria to reduce chemical use, digital farming integration with drones, sensors, AI for precision agriculture, and exciting advancements in vertical and urban farming using hydroponics, aeroponics, growing more food with less land and water.
So it's not just about what we eat, but also how we make things in general, moving towards more sustainable production.
That brings us nicely to industrial biotechnology. This uses biological systems, often engineered microbes or enzymes, for manufacturing processes. Think of enzymes in detergents allowing cold water washing, or in textile and paper production for more efficient, greener processes. It's also about developing second and third generation biofuels from sustainable sources, bioplastics like PLA and PHA that actually degrade naturally, biocatalysis for precise, environmentally friendly synthesis of fine chemicals, and biomanufacturing using synthetic biology to produce everything from flavors and fragrances to vitamins and high-value materials. The aim is greener, more sustainable industrial processes across the board.
And for the planet itself, dealing with pollution, environmental challenges, where does biotech fit in there?
That's environmental biotechnology. This pillar directly addresses pollution and waste and actively promotes sustainable living. Key areas include bioremediation using specialized microbes to degrade pollutants like oil spills, heavy metals, even plastic waste. It's quite remarkable. It's also about advanced waste treatment, converting municipal and industrial waste into valuable resources like biogas for energy. We're seeing exciting developments in carbon capture using engineered microbes to efficiently fix CO2 right out of the atmosphere. And then there are sophisticated biosensors for real-time environmental monitoring, water quality, airborne pathogens, you name it. It's really about using life to help heal and restore the Earth.
And the oceans too, right? There's so much untapped potential beneath the waves, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely. Marine and aquatic biotechnology aims to unlock the immense potential hidden within our oceans and waterways. This covers bioprospecting, searching for new drugs and compounds from marine organisms like sponges, extremophiles, organisms that often produce unique molecules with therapeutic potential. It also involves discovering unique enzymes from marine life, like cold-active enzymes useful in certain industrial processes. We're seeing aquaculture enhancements, like developing disease-resistant fish strains, more sustainable farming practices, and critically, algal biotechnology is emerging as a powerful source for biofuels, omega-3 supplements, and even potentially large-scale carbon sequestration.
And underpinning all of this, all these pillars are the tools that make it possible. Computational side, the systems thinking.
Precisely. The sixth pillar you could call computational and systems biotechnology. This is about the indispensable tools and approaches that enable everything else. It includes bioinformatics for processing those vast amounts of genomic sequencing data and big data analysis in epidemiology to track disease outbreaks. Systems biology focuses on modeling entire organisms, designing predictive metabolic pathways, essentially mapping out how complex biological systems work. It's home to the AI machine learning tools we discussed, like AlphaFold for protein folding and drug discovery. It also encompasses synthetic biology platforms with their sophisticated computer-aided design CAD tools, cloud-based biology platforms allowing remote experiment execution. Looking ahead, this pillar is even exploring the future role of quantum computing and biocomputing, including fascinating possibilities like DNA-based data storage. Imagine storing vast amounts of information in an incredibly compact and stable way using DNA.
What's truly fascinating here, as you mentioned, is how these pillars aren't isolated silos, right? They're constantly intersecting, feeding off each other, creating new possibilities.
This is where the magic of convergence truly shines. It's not just a collection of distinct fields, it's really a web of synergy. Consider how mRNA technology, first developed for medical applications, is now being explored for plant vaccines in agriculture to protect crops from disease, or how industrial enzymes designed for greener manufacturing can be effectively used in environmental waste treatment for more efficient breakdown of pollutants. And bioinformatics, a computational tool, is absolutely critical for driving the discovery of novel compounds from marine organisms. These intersections accelerate innovation across the board. The whole becomes far greater than the sum of its parts. It's about leveraging insights and technologies from one domain to unlock breakthroughs in another.
So if we take that snapshot of 2025, where does the global biotech landscape stand? What are the big numbers, the hot spots of innovation, and how has public sentiment evolved?
Well, in 2025, the global biotechnology market is estimated to be hovering around $1.6 trillion, and it's projected to grow at a really robust compound annual growth rate somewhere between 10 and 12%. This phenomenal growth is fueled by record venture capital funding seen between, say, 2021 and 2024. That's led to thousands of innovative new startups. We've also seen significant mergers and acquisitions like Pfizer's big acquisition of Seagen and many successful IPOs. It indicates a very vibrant and dynamic investment landscape.
And where are these innovations concentrated globally? Are there specific regions really leading the charge?
We definitely see strong regional biotech hubs. The United States maintains its leadership, no doubt. Established centers like Boston, San Francisco, San Diego remain major epicenters for innovation, research, funding. The European Union has a strong focus, often emphasizing ethical innovation and sustainability. Strong public-private research partnerships, particularly in places like Germany, the UK, France. China is making massive strategic investments, particularly under its Made in China 2025 initiative, focusing on biopharma, genomics, synthetic biology, with significant government backing. India is also a booming hub, particularly for biopharma, generics, and vaccines, often providing more affordable solutions at large scale. And we're also seeing growing ecosystems in Latin America, Brazil, Argentina, Chile, leading in agri and environmental biotech. And in Africa, there's rising adoption of mobile diagnostics and local biomanufacturing initiatives aiming to improve health outcomes across the continent.
And how has public perception of biotechnology evolved, especially, after the pandemic experience? It feels like maybe more trust in science, but also maybe more scrutiny.
That's a very astute observation. I think that's right. The success of the COVID-19 mRNA vaccines definitely elevated public trust in biomedical science. It demonstrated biotech's rapid problem-solving capabilities on a truly global scale. However, it's a balanced view. There's also increased scrutiny around data privacy, especially with the explosion of genomic data, and ethical implications, particularly regarding gene editing. Debates around traditional GMOs, the responsible use of CRISPR technologies, they're ongoing. And crucially, there's a growing public call for equitable access and distribution of these cutting-edge innovations, ensuring these life-changing technologies aren't only available to a privileged few. It's a classic dual-edged sword, isn't it? Immense promise balanced by significant, complex challenges that society really must navigate carefully.
Speaking of challenges, what are the primary hurdles biotech faces right now in this 2025 snapshot, even with all this incredible progress?
There are several key challenges that need careful navigation, definitely. Regulatory hurdles and public acceptance, especially for certain genetically modified organisms, remain significant, and they vary greatly by region. The cost and scalability of biomanufacturing are still bottlenecks, particularly for advanced therapies, which can be incredibly expensive to produce at scale. Ethical concerns, especially in areas like human gene editing and the implications for human enhancement, are constantly evolving. They require careful governance, ongoing public dialogue. Data privacy in genomics is a continuous and complex challenge. Genetic information is deeply personal, it's immutable, and in marine biotechnology, concerns about biodiversity loss and responsible resource extraction need careful management to ensure sustainability. Each of these really requires thoughtful, multidisciplinary solutions.
Okay, now let's talk about the frontier, where biotech gets really mind-bending. We're talking about a new kind of science, the synergy that's redefining what's possible, the deep convergence of biotech with AI, robotics, and maybe even quantum computing.
This is truly where the magic happens, I think, and where that programmable substrate metaphor really takes flight. The unique contributions of each technology are creating unprecedented capabilities. Let's start with artificial intelligence in biotechnology. AI is proving to be an unparalleled catalyst for biotech innovation. It's fundamentally changing the pace and scope of discovery.
How exactly does AI act as such a powerful catalyst? Is it simply speeding things up, or is it enabling entirely new kinds of discoveries that weren't possible before?
It's both, really. AI accelerates discovery from the very first step hypothesis generation all the way through experiment design and analysis. It significantly reduces R&D time and cost through predictive analytics, allowing researchers to quickly zero in on the most promising avenues rather than relying on endless, often expensive, trial and error. But beyond speed, yes, it is enabling entirely new kinds of insights by finding patterns in vast data sets that no human, frankly, could ever discern. A prime example is in drug discovery and development. Deep learning models are now identifying novel drug-target interactions with incredible precision. Generative AI models can even de novo design entirely new molecules with specific therapeutic properties from scratch. AI-driven virtual screening can evaluate billions of potential compounds in a fraction of the time traditional high-throughput assays would take. It revolutionizes the initial stages of drug development.
And that protein folding problem, which was considered such a massive hurdle for so long, AI essentially cracked that, right? That felt like a real turning point.
Yes. DeepMind's AlphaFold has absolutely revolutionized structural biology, predicting those 3D protein structures with near experimental accuracy. To give you a sense of scale, understanding protein shapes is like understanding the exact mechanics of every tiny machine in your body. AlphaFold cracked that code for millions of proteins. This breakthrough has broad implications, understanding disease mechanisms, designing new enzymes with custom functions, developing new vaccines with optimized protein components, and releasing that database of over 200 million predicted structures. An incredible gift to the scientific community. It's accelerating research worldwide. AI also excels at multi-omics integration. Imagine being able to link data seamlessly from genomics, our DNA, transcriptomics, which genes are active, proteomics, what proteins are being made, metabolomics, the small molecules involved. AI models can integrate and analyze these incredibly complex, disparate data sets, providing profound, holistic insights into disease pathways, paving the way for truly personalized treatments tailored to an individual's unique biological fingerprint.
So it helps with diagnosis and even treatment decisions for individual patients, maybe even in real time.
Exactly. In AI, in clinical decision support, AI is now analyzing real-time patient data, everything from electronic health records to wearable sensor data. It assists clinicians with diagnostics, risk prediction, even providing personalized treatment recommendations. This promises to make healthcare far more precise and efficient. And it extends to AI in agriculture as well. Disease detection via satellite imagery and drones, predictive modeling for optimizing crop yield, anticipating pest outbreaks, even forecasting localized weather patterns to inform irrigation. The applications are vast.
That brings us to robotics. So if AI is the brain for biotech, robotics must be the hands and feet, right? Beyond just speeding things up, are robots enabling entirely new kinds of experiments or discoveries that simply weren't possible for human scientists?
That's a great analogy, yes. Robotics is indeed fundamentally transforming the physical execution of biotech research. In laboratory automation, robotic systems handle repetitive, high-precision tasks like pipetting, liquid handling, sample processing. This enables 24/7 high-throughput experimentation, dramatically speeds up discovery, reduces human error. But to answer your question, yes, they're enabling entirely new kinds of experiments. What's truly revolutionary are these closed-loop experimental platforms. This is where AI integrates seamlessly with robotics to design, execute, and refine experiments automatically. We're talking about self-driving labs that can iterate on biological hypotheses with minimal human intervention. Imagine a robot conducting an experiment, an AI analyzing the results, and then the AI telling the robot how to adjust the next experiment based on those findings, all without a human needing to step in every time. This accelerates the scientific method itself, allows for exploration of parameter spaces that would be simply impossible or prohibitively slow for human teams.
That's incredible labs that essentially learn and adapt on their own. It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It does feel that way sometimes,
Hmm.
precisely. Robotics also brings extreme precision to cell and tissue handling, crucial for delicate work like stem cell culturing, organoid development, automated microinjection, single-cell sorting, things that require incredible dexterity. And in biomanufacturing and scale-up, robots optimize fermentation conditions, bioreactor parameters. They automate downstream processing like filtration and purification, ensuring consistent, high-quality production of biologics and other biotech products at scale.
And beyond the lab, I imagine robots are also changing the game in agriculture, helping with that precision farming idea.
They absolutely are. We're seeing field robotics in agriculture with autonomous tractors, precision weeders, harvesters that can optimize yields by treating individual plants differently. Robots are also used for precision tasks like detailed soil analysis, microspraying of pesticides or fertilizers exactly where needed, dramatically reducing chemical use. And in clinical settings, robotics supports automated drug compounding and delivery systems, robotic surgery that enhances precision and allows for minimally invasive procedures, and even remote patient monitoring systems, extending the reach and quality of healthcare. The level of precision and consistency they bring is often unmatched by human hands.
Okay, beyond just these big players, AI and robotics, what other technological intersections are shaping this converging future? This is where it gets even more fascinating, perhaps.
This is where we truly expand our horizons, yeah. Quantum computing is one such frontier. While still in its relatively early stages of development, it promises to revolutionize how we simulate complex biological systems
Yeah.
by tackling problems that are just intractable for even the most powerful classical supercomputers today.
Okay, for those of us who aren't quantum physicists, can you briefly explain what quantum computing is and why it's potentially so powerful for biotech? Maybe an analogy.
Sure. Think of a classical computer bit as a light switch. It's either on 1 or off 0. A quantum bit, or qubit, is more like a dimmer switch. It can be on, off, or crucially, somewhere in between that superposition. And qubits can be linked together through entanglement, affecting each other instantaneously regardless of distance. This allows quantum computers to explore vastly more possibilities simultaneously than classical computers. For biotech, this means it could simulate incredibly complex protein-folding pathways with atomic precision, calculate molecular interaction energetics with unprecedented accuracy, predicting exactly how a drug molecule will bind to its target. This will significantly speed up drug discovery-led optimization, which is traditionally a huge computational bottleneck. It could also enhance genomic data compression, analysis for massive data sets, and even model biomaterials at the quantum level to design new materials with specific, tailor-made properties.
Wow, okay. That's a mind bender. What else is converging?
Another critical intersection is the Internet of Things, IoT, and biosensors. Think of how wearables continuously monitor our heart rate, sleep patterns, glucose levels, integrating with telemedicine platforms to provide personalized health insights in real time. In smart farming, networked soil sensors and IoT platforms optimize irrigation based on real-time moisture levels, plant needs. Bioreactors in manufacturing are monitored and controlled by IoT for optimal yield and quality control. And in public health, this is really interesting. Wastewater biosensors are now used for real-time pathogen surveillance, providing early detection of outbreaks, monitoring community health trends, sometimes even before clinical cases start showing up.
And the idea of digital twins seems to be popping up everywhere these days, from manufacturing to cities. How does that apply to biology?
Digital twins in virtual biology involve creating incredibly detailed virtual simulations of biological entities. You can have digital twins of individual cells, complex tissues, even entire organs, allowing researchers to test interventions in silico running experiments in a highly accurate computer model before moving to the expensive and time-consuming wet lab. This significantly speeds up research, reduces costs, and can even refine experiment design. We're also seeing patient-specific disease models, combining genomic, environmental, lifestyle data to predict disease progression and treatment responses unique to that individual. Beyond human health, there are biomanufacturing twins for optimizing production systems in biofactories and ecological modeling for simulating microbial communities or environmental restoration efforts. Yeah.
And what about securing all this incredibly sensitive biological data, especially genomic information? That seems like a huge challenge. Is that where something like blockchain comes in?
Precisely. Blockchain and data integrity in biotech offer powerful potential solutions for maintaining trust and security in this data-rich environment. For genomic data, blockchain can provide immutable records and privacy-preserving sharing platforms, ensuring sensitive information is only accessed by authorized parties while maintaining its integrity and traceability. In clinical trials, blockchain provides verifiable data provenance and unchangeable record of every step, ensuring transparency and regulatory compliance. It's also being explored in the supply chain for biologistics, tracking sensitive products like vaccines, using DNA barcoding linked to blockchain registries for authentication, preventing counterfeiting. Even intellectual property management and licensing for biotech innovations can potentially leverage decentralized platforms for transparent tracking and revenue sharing.
This level of integration and automation, it raises a really important question. What does the workforce for this new era look like? How do we prepare for a future where labs might be self-driving and AI is designing new molecules?
This convergence absolutely demands a transformation in our workforce and, frankly, our educational paradigms. There's a massive and growing demand for new hybrid roles that bridge disciplines. Think bioinformatics engineers who understand cellular logic and coding, cloud lab technicians who manage remote automated experiments, AI biologists who can seamlessly bridge the computational and biological worlds, educational programs, specialized boot camps. They're rapidly emerging to try and address this talent pipeline gap. We're also seeing the democratization of biotech tools through open-source platforms, low-cost kits, making sophisticated research more accessible than ever before. This also facilitates the rise of remote research and citizen science initiatives, where individuals can contribute to scientific discovery from virtually anywhere, fostering a more inclusive research ecosystem, potentially.
But with such powerful tools emerging, with biology becoming literally programmable, what are the inherent risks? The cautions we absolutely need to consider. This feels like a moment where responsibility becomes paramount.
It absolutely does. And this really highlights the dual-edged nature of these advancements. A major concern is algorithmic bias and data quality. If the training data fit into AI models is biased, reflecting historical inequalities, for example, the results can be skewed, leading to inequitable or inaccurate outcomes, particularly dangerous in medical applications. There are also practical technical limitations, bottlenecks in data storage, immense compute time needed for complex simulations, and the persistent challenge of validating complex AI models in real biological systems. Because ultimately, biology is still incredibly complex and, well, often unpredictable.
And the ethics must be front and center.
Front and center. Profound ethical concerns arise, particularly with the emergence of AI-generated biological designs. This raises questions about unintended consequences, the potential for synthetic organisms to be misused, the dual-use problem, and even philosophical questions about the ownership of synthetic life or any biointelligence that might emerge from these systems. Finally, regulatory lag is a constant challenge. Laws and policies really struggle to keep pace with these rapidly evolving hybrid technologies. It requires urgent global coordination and proactive foresight to ensure safety, responsible innovation, and equitable access for everyone.
Okay, let's zoom in on perhaps the most profound aspect of this programmability idea, synthetic biology itself, and how it's directly helping us tackle some of humanity's biggest challenges, like, say, feeding the world.
Right. This is truly at the heart of engineering life, where biology becomes a deliberate design discipline. Synthetic biology, or synbio as it's often called, is the fusion of biology and engineering. It's not just about understanding life, it's about designing, constructing, and programming it. Scientists are quite literally rewriting the code of life, creating new organisms with entirely new capabilities, even building novel biological systems from scratch that don't exist in nature.
So it's like having a biological engineering kit, where you can pick and choose components and assemble them.
Exactly. That's a good way to think about it. The core components are DNA as the ultimate programmable material, right? Standardized biological parts, things like promoters, ribosome binding sites. Think of them as standardized electronic components or Lego bricks for DNA. And chassis organisms, common bacteria like E. coli, yeast, or mammalian cells, which are the biological platforms where these designs are implemented and tested. Milestones like the BioBricks project, which created a foundational library of these standardized products, and the IGM competition, that global student synthetic biology competition, have been crucial in developing this modular approach and training a new generation. And of course, the creation of the first truly synthetic self-replicating bacterial genome, JCVI Syn 1.0 by Craig Venter's team, that was a monumental step. It proved we could literally write an entire bacterial genome from scratch and have it function. proved we could write life, essentially. What's particularly fascinating here is the concept of genetic circuitry, cells that compute. This means implementing sophisticated logic gates like AND, or not gates, just like in computer chips, but using gene regulation inside a living cell. You can engineer cells to perform complex computations. We've seen cells programmed to create biological memory using toggle switches, which can remember a past event, like exposure to a certain chemical, or precise timing mechanisms using oscillators that cause gene expression to cycle on and off predictably. We're even seeing CRISPR-based logic being used to control gene expression without cutting DNA, allowing for fine-tuned dynamic biological control within a cell. And with multi-input systems, synthetic organisms can respond to complex environmental or metabolic signals, acting as sophisticated living biosensors, detecting specific pollutants or maybe disease markers in the body.
That's incredible. So we're not just observing biology anymore. We're actively designing and building these biological systems with a specific purpose in mind.
We absolutely are. The dramatic drop in DNA synthesis costs has been pivotal here, making it affordable to generate custom DNA sequences on demand. This, combined with powerful BioCAD tools for designing complex genetic circuits and advanced automation, has led to the rise of DNA foundries. Companies like Ginkgo Bioworks, Twist Bioscience. These are high-throughput facilities that can mass-produce custom DNA sequences, even entire synthetic genes, essentially acting as biological factories for the building blocks of symbio. The importance of standards and modularity, akin to software APIs for biology, cannot be overstated. It allows for interoperability, accelerates R&D, enables global collaboration on biological engineering projects.
What are some of the most impactful practical applications of this programmable biology that are already emerging or on the horizon?
Yeah. The applications are incredibly diverse and impactful, really across sectors. In medicine, we're seeing things like smart therapeutics, engineered probiotics, for instance, that can detect inflammation in the gut and then produce therapeutic molecules directly where needed. There are living drugs, like advanced CAR T cells for cancer, enhanced with synthetic switches for better control and safety. Biosensors and diagnostics, using synthetic cells that change color or produce a signal in the presence of specific disease markers, offering potentially rapid and precise detection. And for biomanufacturing biologics, engineered yeast or mammalian cells, like CHO cells, can be programmed to produce complex molecules like insulin or monoclonal antibodies more efficiently and cost-effectively than traditional methods. In industry, synthetic biology is driving green manufacturing, using engineered microbes to produce chemicals, fuels, even plastics more sustainably, reducing reliance on fossil fuels. It's enabling the design of novel enzymes for industrial processes, the creation of sustainable bio-derived materials. Think lab-grown spider silk that's stronger than steel, cultured leather avoiding animal farming, mycelium-based materials for packaging or building.
Mycelium, like mushrooms.
Exactly, the root structure. We even have living sensors and surfaces that can respond to environmental changes. And in synthetic ecology, we're exploring co-engineering microbial communities for environmental resilience, developing synthetic symbiosis between plants and microbes to enhance nutrient uptake, creating programmable biofilms. Crucially, biocontainment strategies like kill switches are being developed to ensure that engineered organisms deployed in the environment don't persist or spread beyond their intended scope. That's vital for responsible deployment.
This idea of engineering life, it directly impacts one of our most fundamental needs, food. How is biotech addressing that massive challenge of feeding a growing world sustainably, especially with climate change putting so much pressure on agriculture?
This is a critical area, yes, where biotech offers truly transformative solutions. The global food security landscape is under immense pressure. Food demand projected to double by 2050, increasing climate stress like droughts, floods, widespread soil degradation, declining biodiversity. Traditional agricultural approaches are, frankly, reaching their limits in many places. Biotech offers a systems-level intervention, integrating precision improvements at the gene, cell, even ecosystem level, combining it with data, AI, and sustainable practices to build a more resilient food system overall. Let's talk about genetic engineering and gene editing in crops. There's that important distinction again between traditional GMOs, typically transgenic like beet, cotton, incorporating genes from other species, and gene-edited crops using CRISPR, Talon's base editing. The latter often involves making precise changes to a plant's existing genes without necessarily introducing foreign DNA. This usually means faster regulatory approval in many places and often seems to garner greater public acceptance.
What specific traits are scientists targeting in crops using these advanced tools? What are the goals?
The focus is heavily on resilience and nutrition. Key traits include engineering drought and heat tolerance into staple crops, making them more robust in a changing climate. That's huge. Scientists are also enhancing pest and disease resistance, which can reduce the need for chemical pesticides. There's also a significant push for enhanced nutrients content. Classic examples include golden rice, engineered with provitamin A to combat vitamin A deficiency in regions where it's endemic, or iron-rich beans. We're also seeing efforts to delay ripening, which can reduce spoilage and food waste, extend shelf life. Regulatory changes in the US, Brazil, India, and notably, the EU's slowly relaxing stance on CRISPR are making these innovations more accessible globally, though it's still a complex landscape. Then there's microbial and soil biotech. The plant microbiome, that community of microbes living in and around plant roots, is incredibly important for plant health, we now realize. Biotech is leveraging this by developing biofertilizers microbes that fix nitrogen from the air directly for plants, reducing the need for synthetic nitrogen fertilizers, which has significant environmental downsides. We're also seeing biostimulants that improve nutrient uptake, biopesticides offering targeted pest control, and even microbes engineered to enhance soil health and actively sequester carbon, locking it away in the soil to combat climate change. Host, speaker. And the idea of growing food indoors, too, like vertical farms, how does biotech play into that? Is it just the environment or the plants themselves? It's both. That's vertical farming and controlled environment agriculture, CEA. These indoor farming technologies, hydroponics, aeroponics, sophisticated LED lighting, are integrating with engineered plants specifically designed or selected for optimal indoor growth, often guided by AI systems managing the environment. This facilitates urban and distributed agriculture, bringing fresh food production much closer to consumers, reducing transport costs, emissions, and food spoilage. The sustainability metrics can be compelling. These systems can reduce water usage by 90% or more compared to field agriculture, often use renewable energy, operate with closed-loop nutrient systems to minimize waste. It's a very different model, and one of the most talked about and, frankly, fascinating areas is cellular agriculture and alternative proteins. This includes cultured meat.
Lab-grown meat.
Exactly. Growing animal stem cells into muscle tissue and bioreactors without needing to raise and slaughter animals. There's intense innovation in scaffolding materials, bioreactor design, trying to achieve the right texture, taste, and importantly, scale production affordably. Then there's fermentation-based proteins. Using precision fermentation similar to brewing beer, but highly controlled to get microbes to produce specific, high-value proteins like egg whites, milk proteins, casein, whey, even gelatin. Companies like Perfect Day, Clara Foods, Motif Foodworks are leaders here, producing dairy proteins identical to those from cows but without the cow. We should also briefly touch on other emerging protein sources like insect farming and algae-based proteins. The main challenge across this whole space: achieving regulatory approval, scaling production efficiently, and critically, consumer adoption, which depends heavily on taste, price point, and overcoming the ick factor or unfamiliarity for some people.
This sounds like a truly comprehensive systems-level approach. Not just tweaking one thing, but rethinking how we produce food to make it more sustainable and resilient in the face of so many global pressures.
It truly is. Nutritional biotechnology also plays a role in biofortification of crops with higher levels of essential vitamins and minerals, developing functional foods with specific health benefits, using CRISPR to reduce anti-nutrients or common allergens in foods like peanuts. It also helps fortify plant-based alternatives to ensure they are nutritionally complete. All of this contributes significantly to sustainability and climate resilience. By engineering plants for increased drought salinity tolerance, enhancing carbon farming through crops with deeper root systems, or soil microbes that sequester more carbon, reducing methane nitrous oxide emissions from livestock with innovative feed additives, and even using biotech tools to support biodiversity conservation efforts.
So, taking a step back from the specifics, what does this all mean for us? As a society, as humans, as we gain this incredible power to re-engineer life itself, what are the profound ethical questions we absolutely must confront? And what does this future, shaped by biotech and its convergence with other technologies, truly look like?
This brings us to a crucial inflection point, doesn't it? Forcing us to ask that fundamental question. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. As we delve into the ethical frontiers and societal impacts, this question becomes absolutely central. Consider human enhancement and genetic editing. We need to distinguish clearly between somatic editing, affecting adult tissues not inheritable, and germline editing, which involves changes to sperm, egg, or early embryos that are inheritable by future generations. The sensitive, complex debates around designer babies, the idea of selecting traits beyond just disease prevention, and the potential for creating new forms of social inequality based on access to these enhancement technologies. These are profound.
And the implications for future generations seem immense, especially with those inheritable changes made without their consent.
They absolutely are. This raises fundamental questions of identity, individual autonomy, and what some call the right to an open future for those future generations who would inherit these potentially irreversible germline modifications. There are also deeply held diverse cultural and religious perspectives on modifying human nature that must be carefully respected and integrated into this global conversation. It's not just a scientific or technical question. It's deeply societal, deeply human. Another critical area is ownership, patents, and access. There's an ongoing, often contentious debate over patenting life, whether genes, cell lines, genetically modified organisms should even be patentable. This creates a real tension between the open science movement, which advocates for shared knowledge and accessibility, versus proprietary platforms that seek to protect intellectual property, often arguing it's necessary to recoup R&D costs. Concerns about bioimperialism, the potential misappropriation of indigenous knowledge or genetic resources from the global south, where much biological diversity exists, are very real and require robust ethical frameworks and benefit-sharing agreements. And most critically, perhaps, there's the pervasive challenge of ensuring affordable access to cutting-edge therapies. Gene therapies, biologics, they often come with absolutely exorbitant price tags. We urgently need to explore innovative models, tiered pricing, public funding mechanisms, compulsory licensing in some cases, new patent pools to ensure these life-saving and life-changing innovations benefit everyone, not just the wealthy elite.
And with all the genomic data being generated, linking to health records, lifestyle data, privacy has to be a massive concern as well, especially as AI gets better at connecting those dots.
Absolutely. In terms of data, privacy, and surveillance, there are significant risks of re-identification, even in supposedly anonymized genomic databases. This highlights the urgent need for robust, enforceable policies like Europe's GDPR, the US's HEPA, and China, the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act. The emergence of AI and predictive profiling based on genomic data could lead to potential discrimination in areas like insurance underwriting or employment decisions. And the very nature of informed consent is evolving and becoming more complex in this digital age, where our biological data is constantly being collected, stored, shared, and analyzed, often in ways we don't fully understand at the outset. And we can't forget the environment itself. Environmental and ecosystem ethics deal with the ecological unpredictability of releasing engineered organisms into complex natural systems. For instance, organisms used in gene drives designed to control pest populations. What are the long-term ecosystem effects? There's a constant tension between the precautionary principle, acting cautiously due to potential unknown harms, and the relentless drive for innovation needed to solve urgent global problems like climate change or pandemics. Concepts like rights of nature and the ethical status we should grant to microbial life, or even purely synthetic life forms, are emerging as philosophical and legal challenges as we gain this unprecedented ability to significantly alter ecosystems and even create entirely new forms of life.
So as we stand here, mid-decade, looking forward, how does all this convergence culminate into a unified vision for our future, what the sources call a techno-biological civilization? What does that actually look like?
The source material paints a compelling and admittedly somewhat awe-inspiring picture of what it terms a technobiological civilization. This is envisioned as an era where those digital, biological, and physical boundaries fundamentally blur, maybe even dissolve in some ways. Life itself becomes seen and utilized as a programmable substrate, truly integrating humans, machines, and the environment through technologies that are increasingly self-replicating, adaptive, and decentralized. It represents potentially a new paradigm shift, as transformative perhaps as the agricultural or industrial revolutions were, profoundly changing our relationship with biology, technology, and our place in the natural world. We'll see deep convergence use cases across multiple fields, creating entirely new capabilities. For example, biotech x AI isn't just AI assisting biotech anymore. AI becomes a fundamental discovery engine for predictive biology, complex systems modeling, de novo design, enabling a sophisticated biodigital twin concept where integrated dynamic simulations of individuals, organs, or even entire ecosystems can be modeled in exquisite detail. This creates an AI-biotech symbiosis, potentially leading to recursive, self-improving innovation loops, accelerating discovery at an unprecedented, maybe even exponential scale.
And beyond AI, what other technologies are merging at this deep, almost seamless level in this vision?
Well, biotech X nanotechnology and materials science could bring nanoscale biology into reality.
Things like DNA origami, creating complex, functional nanostructures purely from DNA, nanorobots for targeted drug delivery inside the body, alongside smart biomaterials that are responsive, perhaps self-healing, programmable matter at the biological interface. Think bioelectronics, biosensing, where organic circuits are integrated directly into living systems for enhanced monitoring or functionality. With biotech X robotics and automation, we're looking beyond current automation towards fully robotic biology labs and highly automated biofactories, enabling decentralized, potentially post-industrial manufacturing where complex biological production could happen almost anywhere on demand. This also leads towards the emergence of living machines and biobots, biological materials engineered to perform specific tasks at microscopic scales. And then there's biotech X quantum computing. As it matures, it could unravel currently intractable problems like the precise dynamics of protein folding or complex molecular interactions at the atomic level, accelerating enzymatic design, material science, maybe even securing genomic data with quantum cryptography. This intense level of convergence inevitably leads to profound implications and questions around human enhancement and post-human futures, including potential cognitive and physical augmentation through things like neurostimulation interfaces or even targeted gene editing used for enhancement, not just therapy, radical advances in longevity and rejuvenation research, precisely manipulating anti-aging pathways, the whole biohacking movement taken to an extreme. And this naturally raises huge philosophical questions about human-AI hybrids, the definition of human identity, and the need for what some call post-human ethics to navigate this uncharted territory.
And the planet itself will be deeply integrated into this bio-driven future. It sounds almost like we're moving towards a kind of planetary intelligent, or at least management system.
That's certainly part of the vision presented. The concept of ecological integration in Gaia systems where Earth is increasingly viewed, perhaps managed, as a complex living superorganism that we can understand and interact with at a deep biological and informational level. We might see advanced global networks of biosensors for real-time planetary monitoring, tracking biodiversity shifts, carbon fluxes, pollution levels with unprecedented granularity, and potentially controversial interventions like climate bioengineering, deploying specifically engineered microbes, or plans for large-scale carbon sequestration, or ecosystem regeneration projects guided by synthetic biology principles. This kind of societal transformation would likely redefine economic structures, maybe leading towards universal biomanufacturing capabilities, new forms of biocooperatives. It would certainly transform education. Even cultural expressions might change, with possibilities like living biological media or gene sculpture becoming new art forms. However, and this is a crucial however, we absolutely must confront the civilizational risks that accompany such profound power. These include the stark dual-use dilemmas, where beneficial technologies, particularly in synthetic biology and AI, could be easily weaponized, leading to the deliberate creation and release of engineered pathogens far more dangerous than anything nature has produced. There's the speculative but concerning risk of runaway self-improvement, from recursive AI bioloops that could spiral beyond human understanding or control, leading to unpredictable or dangerous outcomes. And perhaps more subtly, the danger of moral drift and technomyopia, where our fascination with the sheer power of technological advancement leads us to neglect our ecological duties, ignore the ethical implications for vulnerable populations, or fail to establish robust governance structures until it's too late. Navigating these risks will be every bit as crucial, perhaps even more so than pursuing the innovations themselves.
This has been an absolutely incredible deep dive, truly unpacking how biotechnology is not just improving our tools or fighting diseases, it's fundamentally redefining what it means to be human and how we interact with our world, our planet. It's a vast, exciting, and yeah, sometimes daunting frontier.
We truly stand at a critical inflection point in human history, maybe the critical inflection point of this century. Biotechnology may well be the defining technology of the 21st century. Whether it primarily heals or harms, whether it creates a more equitable and sustainable world, or exacerbates existing divides and creates new perils, that will depend entirely on how we collectively choose to guide it. The future isn't predetermined. It will depend on how wisely, how ethically, and how inclusively we choose to engineer it. So the question for you, listening, is perhaps, what will you choose to learn, engage with, and contribute to this unfolding story?